Hello, everybody. I'm sure the applause was not for me, but for this very distinguished members of a panel, of course, that I am honored to be speaking to this afternoon as well. I'm Chery Kang of a CNBC, co-anchor of a Squawk Box Asia of a CNBC International. When I got this, the request to moderate this panel, it was such a big question, and it just felt like it's a lot of a doom and gloom. But I don't think that's really the case. And I'm going to try to sort of get some color on where these leaders are thinking about in terms of Asia's century, how that model is being disrupted, how it's evolving. So that is really what we are trying to do here this afternoon. Couple of things that I need to go through here. If you're taking this experience with the panel and the World Economic Forum, if you're taking it to social media, the hashtag AMNC25 as well. And I'm going to just go through, I'm going to introduce this very distinguished, highly distinguished panelists first, and I'm going to start with Minister of Industry and Entrepreneurship of Development, Sri Lanka, Mr. Sunil Handunneththi. And Deputy Chairperson, Great Indonesia Movement Party, Rahayu Saraswati Djojohadikusumo. And Financial Secretary of Hong Kong, Paul Chan. And Prime Minister of Vietnam, Prime Minister Pham Chinh. And we actually have the privilege of hearing from the Vietnamese Prime Minister himself. He is expected to give us special opening remarks to kick us off for this panel. So let's first listen in. Prime Minister.
Thank you.
Distinguished delegates, a good afternoon to you. It's a great pleasure for me to attend the forum today. I would like to extend my gratitude to the World Economic Forum and the People's Republic of China for having invited Vietnam for the third year on and to the New Champion annual meeting in Tianjin, China. We're living in a turbulent and uncertain world. Politically polarized, economically decoupled, institutionally fragmented, developmentally divided, as the income gap grows between the rich and the poor. The question here is Asia facing challenges and adversities? The answer, yes. And not just yes, but also many. Asia is facing major challenges and risks arising from geopolitical tension, protectionism, inflationary pressure, growth decline, natural disasters, and epidemics, especially after COVID-19, climate change, resource depletion, aging population, social instability, cybersecurity, and conflict, among many others. But does Asia have opportunities and good tidings? Another question. And the answer is yes. And not just yes, but also expanding and wide open. Given its geostrategic location, its vast and young population, its huge market, its strong economic growth prospects, its advancing middle class, with poverty being increasingly a thing of the past. It also has an infrastructural, public service, finance, and banking system going from strength to strength, from maturity to maturity, an increasingly stable social framework, and most of all, Asia is endeavoring to advance in harmony with the rest of the world and contribute to peace, stability, and prosperity in the world. So, does Asia have faith and hope? The answer? We cannot do without it. Asia has a strong political, economic, societal, and cultural foundation. It has half a century of tireless innovation and integration, through which it has accumulated the kind of strength, the kind of power, the kind of mettle, and the kind of experience necessary to overcome all crisis and risk. We are confident that Asia shall stand in solidarity and cooperation. It will stand strong. It will act together to build strong and develop together in shared benefit, to leave no one behind. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, to quote the General Secretary of the Communist Party of China and President of China, His Excellency Xi Jinping, the wave of development in the Asia-Pacific cannot be resisted, and the rise of the region cannot be hindered. We are confident that Asia is endowed with sufficient foundation and groundwork to continue growing, advancing, and claiming its position as a bedrock and engine of growth in the global economy. What are these? The strong internal power, the perseverance against all odds, and the particular culture that create the core value of an adaptive, dynamic Asia as the epicentrum of growth. Asia is the gathering of the most dynamic, the most innovative, and the fastest growing economies in the world. It is the largest consumer market on the planet, with 4.7 billion people altogether. It accounts for 60% of global internet users and 40% of global tech unicorns. In this journey, China, as the second largest economy in the world, plays an especially important role. Given its global influence, China is expected and trusted by Asia to continue to be an important pillar to shape growth along with the rest of the world, as a driver of connectivity and a leader of ideas to build a future, and to exhibit its responsibility as a major power in times of trials and tribulations. Ladies and gentlemen, to build an Asian century of wealth, of affluence, of prosperity, and sustainable development, I wish to propose 5 pioneers that are of strategic significance to Asia. Pioneer 1, in steadfast pursuance of peace, stability, cooperation, development, and protection of the fundamental values of international relations. It should actively engage, manage disputes, expand cooperation, and bolster links within and beyond the region. It must uphold multilateralism, respect international law, advance international solidarity and cooperation, and bolster political trust for Asia to truly become a reliable pillar of support for the world. 2, it should pioneer in the development of science, technology, innovation, digitization, green transition, circular economy, and the sharing economy, among many others. It should focus on creating the foundation for breakthrough, inclusive, comprehensive, and sustainable growth. It must shift from being the factory of the world to a global hub for innovation and digitization. 3, pioneer in value chain integration, economic linkages, and global economic integration. Asia must lead the new game and the new journey in which we travel, we work, we arrive, we enjoy, and we win together in the spirit of harmonizing benefits and sharing risks. 4, pioneer in advancing entrepreneurship, innovation, and business development. It must create opportunities for the young, for SMEs, for startups, so that they can gain equal access to what the continent has to offer and the benefits of the connectivity that the World Economic Forum has to offer. 5, pioneer in promoting cultural and social links to ensure that human beings are at the heart of all policies and strategies for development. It must respect differences and unity in diversity. It must advance commonalities and reduce differences and engage in all-round inclusive and comprehensive connections, especially for the young generation. Ladies and gentlemen, to these ends, Vietnam proposes 2 ideas. 1, to establish an Asia Innovation Network to make full use of the World Economic Forum and China's leadership in linking research institutes, universities, and businesses. Two, to create an Asia Innovation Information Portal as an online platform to provide concrete and effective support to SMEs, startups, and the young generation. Vietnam stands ready to be part of these ideas and look forward to the World Economic Forum, China, and other countries to also be part of this journey together to make these initiatives possible. Ladies and gentlemen, we are confident that given the solidarity, sense of responsibility, trust, hope, determination, strong action, the Asian century shall bring us not challenges, but opportunities instead to build a bright future, the one that is taking shape and bring about peace, cooperation, and development in the region and the world. I wish you good health, happiness, and many success. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. And as you just settle down here, I do want to just sort of go through the stage, sort of get their reaction to what's going on in terms of the geopolitical complexity. And I do want to start with the Minister of Sri Lanka first. And when we go back to April 2nd, Rose Garden, tariff negotiation, tariff announcements here, was that a new wake-up call, or is this something that has been brewing, somehow challenging the Asian economic model of manufacturing here and exporting to the United States?
Yeah, thank you very much, all panelists and all participants here. I'm very thankful because this great opportunity to us as Sri Lanka, a beautiful island country, representing first time myself in this forum. I want to say one thing, that is this topic is Asia at risk in this century. I think this is the century of Asia. Because of that reason is now is all emerging countries like China, Vietnam, India, and Japan in here. Sri Lanka is a big, not a big country, it's a small country, but we are in with the shape of the all other big economies and countries under their cooperation and their assistance. Especially, I'm very thankful to People's Republic of China. We are with the cooperation of BRI, with the relation with our port city, our ports, and all us now is contributing with the China. Any other thing is that we want to identify several factors could hinder a delay of full realization of what is going on in the Asian region, especially in the economic slowdowns in our countries. Other thing is the geopolitical risk and the demographic challenges, environmental threats, and internal political dynamics all represent, these are present in that hiding our capacity. For example, economic slowdowns mean this era is economically, we find out that there are so many opportunities to us as countries like our old countries. But these several internal disputes and the external issues are hiding our capacity, hiding our strength, and that like in our countries, there are identifying the geopolitical risks, especially with this ongoing war. Ongoing war is delay our successes, especially in the China, India, even in the Pakistan and India, there was some issues, and the regional conflicts. Also, tension of this South China Sea, like that, should be resolved. Other thing is that demographic challenges, aging population is high risk of the Asian countries. Not
Right.
only.
Yeah, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on, does this somehow bring Asian countries in the region a little closer together? Because there has been a lot of talk about new form of globalization. Sure, Asia has benefited from globalization for decades now. The model that actually has benefited the region greatly is that being challenged? I think that is really the question. And perhaps you can pick up on that angle as well, Sarah. How does Indonesia fit into this sort of new world order that we're thinking about and spending time talking about here? Would you like him to continue first?
Sure, I think you can give the answer.
We'll definitely come back to the minister, don't worry about it.
Indonesia as an example.
Thank you so much, and it's such an honor to be here. No pressure, representing the women and the youth. So, perhaps in terms of new form of globalization and the challenges. Honestly speaking, looking at the world today, waking up every day, seeing the news and looking at what's going on as a millennial, it's surreal almost to see history unfolding in ways that we've never seen before, at least in my generation. Not that we haven't gone through challenges, whether it's the COVID pandemic or recessions or a financial crisis. We've gone through those, but the way things are right now, I remember being in a forum and an economist, a young economist in that forum, basically said how he had to call his professors at his university where he had his PhD and ask, you know, looking at what's going on and with the tariffs, is there a book that I did not read? He basically had to ask his professors whether there's a book that he did not read that's unfolding, that's basically would explain what is happening in the world today. And I can say, as an Indonesian, with all due respect to all other countries, but I'm truly blessed to wake up being an Indonesian today. Why? Part of it is because, of course, it's not only that we're the fourth largest population. Yes, we have our challenges. I think all the others have mentioned some of them. But we have also one of the biggest demographic dividend. With 72% of our population productive age, 53% are Gen Zs and millennials. So in terms of opportunities, and the Prime Minister mentioned faith and hope, we have plenty. Yes, we have our challenges again. Education, our IQ on average is 75. So it's not just a matter of education. It's not just about bringing education to the people, but our president knows that when you're talking about IQ, we're talking about nutrition. So it's the very, very basic. Yes, we have the mass, but yet we do not yet have quality. So again, we can look at it as a glass half empty situation, but it is also, that means we have plenty of opportunity. We have yet to reach our full potential. During the time when other countries went through industrial revolutions, 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, we were being colonized. So now, when we are finally, stabilizing in terms of our internal politics and our situation geopolitically, we are non-aligned. Our president is very clear throughout all the talks that he's had, even during the time when he was Minister of Defense. We are a non-aligned country. We do not align ourselves or enter into any military alliances, but we are very much open to economic alliances. So we've entered into BRICS and ASEAN. We have been there, leading and paving the way as a state of the G20 as well. We have been the voice for not just ASEAN, but the global South as well, and developing countries. When even in our efforts to join the OECD, or when we're discussing about digital economy, cybersecurity, we need to ensure that there's a voice in the international community of what it means as a developing country, where we need to have sovereignty over our own data. We need to have sovereignty over defense technologies, but at the same time, again, because we have gone through hundreds of years of colonization when our natural resources have been exported and exploited, during the time when we want to industrialize and we want to rise up as a developed country, we need your support the same way that you had that support. I'm talking to perhaps the developed countries, so to speak. And I think other ASEAN countries and the global South are aligning when we're saying, well, help us help you. Because the Prime Minister mentioned we can be the pillar of support for the world. So no, we are definitely not, this Asia century is not ending. We are just beginning.
Yeah, thank you for challenging that, because I was going to challenge it myself. But it just feels like the model is evolving and needs to change given the geopolitical complications that we're all going through. And you actually made a lot of world leaders very jealous, Sarah, by going through some of the strength that Indonesia has. And I think that is a great story. And Secretary Chan, I do want to bring you in now. And Hong Kong is very uniquely positioned in terms of being the territory that is very closely connected to mainland China. And this is actually the conversation that we had this morning on CNBC. But you're also trying to connect the world with mainland China. At the same time, Hong Kong is a territory that went through a lot of soul searching, given the political situation years ago and now this. So how is Hong Kong positioned?
Doing the right thing, focus on the economic development, bridging the two markets, bridging the capital and the talents.
And Prime Minister, I really liked your opening remarks, and especially towards the end where you suggested Asia's innovation initiative that is led by China. I think I remember that. Do you think because of the Trump administration's challenges and Asia's economic model being challenged, that it would drive a lot of these Asian countries toward China, just as you sort of insinuated in your opening remarks?
Thank you for your question. But it's very hard to answer. Very good question, very hard to answer. I think we have spent a lot of effort to establish a world tariff order grounded in WTO rules. Recently, the Trump administration's tariff have created a pressure and challenges for many countries, including Asian countries. Because tax and tariff policies also affect the interest of producers, countries, manufacturers, businesses. But I think that we are growing more used to risk, more used to instabilities in the world over the past years. Let's take COVID-19. Or climate change, or cybersecurity, as is prevalent today. These issues can arise at any time without warning, and we should be ready to receive them. Because in life, there is joy just as there is sadness. There is happiness just as there is misfortune. In the short term, I think we need to stay strong. We need to persevere.
Remarks, and especially towards the end where you suggested Asia's innovation initiative that is led by China. I think I remember that. Do you think because of the Trump administration's challenges and Asia's economic model being challenged, that it would drive a lot of these Asian countries toward China, just as you sort of insinuated in your opening remarks?
Thank you for your question. But it's very hard to answer. Very good question, very hard to answer. I think we have spent a lot of effort to establish a world tariff order grounded in WTO rules. Recently, the Trump administration's tariff have created a pressure and challenges for many countries, including Asian countries. Because tax and tariff policies also affect the interest of producers, countries, manufacturers, businesses. But I think that we are growing more used to risk, more used to instabilities in the world over the past years. Let's take COVID-19, or climate change, or cybersecurity, as is prevalent today. These issues can arise at any time without warning, and we should be ready to receive them. Because in life, there is joy just as there is sadness. There is happiness just as there is misfortune. In the short term, I think we need to stay strong. We need to persevere with our target, our goal of development for peace, cooperation, and development, for happiness and well-being for our citizens, for social progress and equality, to leave no one behind. That should be our compass to address arising challenges. So I believe there are risks. But on top of that, there are also opportunities. We have an opportunity to look at ourselves, to look at how the world is evolving, to look at how we should restructure our economy, to build the quality of our economy, our competitiveness, and to have a reactiveness given external shocks. So these are the challenges, the opportunities. And with that in mind, the greater the pressure, the more we have to put in the effort. That is my thought. And as to, I think that every country has their own independence, their own sovereignty, and to build an independent, self-reliant economy that is deeply engaged in international integration. That should be the trend of the world today. With China, we can see that China is a major power. It is growing very quickly, as we can see. China, of course, is not without its own issues. It is not without competition. It has competitions with the US, and the other way around is also true. But all countries, I think, are intelligent, and they can make the choices in a way that can best make use of one side and the other, to address one issue without spoiling another, to win one's heart without losing another's. That is solidarity. That is done through upholding multilateralism, to uphold the core value of each nation. That has been the success of countries in Asia. And when we build this, there has to be leaders. There has to be a locomotive. There should be an engine. And there has to be sacrifices too. And I think that countries will choose the right way in a manner that would benefit their country, benefit the region, benefit Asia, and benefit our world, so that we can have a better life, we can love each other more, and we would have, that would be the value brought about by international cooperation to each and every of us, to bring better material and spiritual enjoyment to all of us. I think that is a choice we'll all make.
Vietnam's deputy prime minister just a couple of hours ago, and I'm going to try again because this is the elephant in the room, and somebody else will ask in the Q&A session if I don't ask you the question, Prime Minister, so I have to ask you, are you in communication with the Trump administration regarding tariffs? Are you talking to them? Do you have plans to meet? Any Zoom meetings that you have?
Tôi vẫn đang đối thoại.
We are still keeping in contact with the Trump administration, and not just now. We have always been in contact and communication with the Trump administration because the U.S. and Vietnam share a history, a profound history that is unique to us and not seen in any other country. For example, we had a war that lasted for 30 years and an embargo that also lasted for 30 years. So it's impossible for us not to remain in contact, but our contact and our communication is aimed at positivity. We place the people at the moving status, at momentum, and we are looking at things in a positive attitude so that we could move forward and we could develop. So we remain in close contact, frequent contact with the Trump administration and the U.S., and our aim in their communication is to bring about peace and cooperation and development, as well as social progress for humankind, for the region, and social welfare, so that we do not leave anyone behind. Therefore, the contact and the communication between us and the Trump administration is frequent. And after the event on the 2nd of April, in addition to other normal activities, there is this discussion on tariffs. And we have conducted quite a few negotiations, but our spirit is that we keep our core spirit. We will not sacrifice our core values. We, of course, engage in cooperation, but we will always struggle to fight for our benefits. We need to protect our interest, but we need to make sure that it doesn't affect other countries, other people. I thank you for your interesting question. And currently, I believe that between Vietnam and the U.S., we share a deep understanding on tariffs, and I hope that all the positive things will come for us. And I hope that with this positivity will come positive outcomes for other countries and peoples. Thank you.
The deadline is just about 2 weeks, so okay, we'll be watching. Minister.
Tôi hy vọng là bà sẽ.
And I hope that you will see that the result will come earlier than 2 weeks.
So there we go. Okay. That's got to be good news. That's got to be something positive. Or what does it mean to be positive, right, when it comes to tariff negotiations? Okay.
I think that is what we put our hope in. And when there is hope, there's trust. When we have self-confidence, we would arrive at something positive. And that will bring about benefits to the U.S., to American consumers, to us, and to all of us present here today, to all countries around the world. That is what I mean by positive.
I think I made another headline with the WEF panel. There we go. I do want to pivot to sort of this different layer, because we spent a lot of time talking about fragmented manufacturing and tariff negotiations, and I'm sure many of you spent a lot of time talking about technology and what that does to sort of the future of Asian region and so on. But I do want to bring in a different angle here, and that is soft power. Minister Handunneththi, given the cultural heritage that Sri Lanka has, and I come from actually the world of K-pop, so very proud of that as well. But just walk us through what you think in terms of the importance of soft power, because that could actually bring in different level of understanding between different countries and different regions as well. And Asia is an emerging star in all this.
Yeah, but it's a problem. I was to raise this. All our 4 countries has a capability of the tourism. Sri Lanka was a destinations of the best tourist destination. Not only that, Indonesia, Hong Kong, Vietnam, and even China. All our countries' potential is the tourism. We are in the heart of the center of the Indian Ocean, Sri Lanka, beautiful country. But there was so many problems, issues regarding the past few decades, drugs, human trafficking. Within all these are in the problems raised in the tourism. We are now facing with the problems like that. Okay, it's not for the distribution among through the Indian Ocean, all other areas also. Now we have to have a collaboration with all our countries to overcome these difficulties. We all our countries are very beautiful countries, because it's not like comparing with our other regions of the world, but we have a natural potential. Not only Sri Lanka, India, and other countries. But the problem is that, one thing is that, other thing is the migration of our workforce, mobility, from Asia to other regions. We are with the free education system. In Sri Lanka, totally the free education system. From level of the primary level up to graduation. But we are manufacturing, and we are the skilled laborers, highly skilled laborers, but they are moving from our countries to the Europe, the West. We want to get the potential benefit from that, our young generation. As I mentioned earlier, the aging population is high in our countries, but we have no opportunities to younger people, younger generation. With this new era, yesterday in Chinese delegation mentioned it very clearly that AIization, this era is AIization era of our region, Asian region. Now this AI technology, digitalization is the main task of our countries, in Sri Lanka also. When with these potentials, if we have identified really with our people, benefit to the people. I want to say this thing, in Sri Lankan new government with the Chief President Anukumar Disanayaka, we are now formed 21 cabinet ministers, only that. We now in the government with the free, all are with the corruption. Corruption-free country now, Sri Lanka. I can give the assurance now to the all investors. Please come to Sri Lanka with the potential for the investment with the free of corruption. With the past decade, 4 or 3 decades, we had to face so many problems with the corruption, allegations of, and other thing is that type of the drugs and the man problems, the natural problems. We had to face to even in Indonesia and myself, our country, the tsunami. But these are not the natural disasters, these are the manpower disasters, man-made disasters. But we want to overcome these difficulties. If we have a possibility to be honestly overcome these disasters, these threats, we are the region in the next century. I can assure it.
Sarah, how can Asia mitigate Asia's some of the risks facing Asia and its century with soft power? Such a big question, so sorry.
Well, I will say, before we talk about mitigating the risks, we haven't even tapped, honestly speaking. Yes, South Korea, Japan, China, very big on soft power, right? Japan, it can be tourism, culinary. I mean, everywhere you go, there would be Japanese restaurant, right? I mean, and we have very good Japanese restaurants in Indonesia, you know, in Jakarta. But South Korea, oh my goodness, the army in Indonesia, right? And everywhere you go, even in America also. China with their games, you know, Mobile Legend, Genshin Impact, etc. So, however, when we look at the rest, so much of it is untapped. So I don't think necessarily we have to talk about mitigating risks at the moment. I would even say we have not scratched the surface. Indonesia, for example, and I would say this to any investors or banks out there, we need to find a way to make intellectual property bankable. Okay, at the moment, because Indonesia is completely untapped when it comes to intellectual property. We do not only want to be a consumer-only country. We have 183 million gamers in Indonesia. Out of 280 million, 183 million are gamers. And I'm not talking about just the gaming as in, you know, with Nintendo, PlayStation, all of that. You know, we're talking about mobile games. If you're playing Candy Crush, you're a gamer. Okay.
Exactly.
So, but we also want to build that, right? We want to be, you know, another engine of growth is definitely the creative economy. As context, before I became a politician or an MP, I was an actress. So this is my field, right? And when we're talking about AI or just the risks that we are facing, we in Indonesia, one of the challenges we face is that we have more people than we have jobs. So anyone who wants to come into Indonesia, it's not just about bringing technology. We need to ensure that that technology can actually create new jobs. And hence why also the president is very much focused on building the STEM education in Indonesia. So that's one of the mitigating, right, if we're talking about. But again, we are barely tapping the intellectual property and creative economy in ASEAN, I would say, right? And it's not just about tourism, it's all of the sectors. Soft power means culinary, fashion. You know, I'm wearing Indonesian batik. Batik, if you trace the you know, trade in the olden ages, we were even influential to the African continent national wares that they have there. It's also through the trade that happened, and it came from batik. So there's that soft power as well, right? And I think Asian countries need to start waking up to the new generation of engine of growth. It might not look the same, you know, in terms of the industrial. Yes, we still have our natural resources. Indonesia is still #1 in nickel production. And if we're going into the green energy, Indonesia is right there. We can be the green data center hub, right? Because of how much ocean we have, the reservoirs that can be covered with solar panels, for hydro, for all of the green energy. But again, one of the things that I think a lot of the leaders, and I do not blame them, because again, the same with Indonesia, we need to build our talents. And it goes back to nutrition, which is why the free meal plan is one of the, or could be the #1 priority of this administration. We're feeding 82 million children and pregnant mothers and lactating mothers, because if you're talking about building your people, it needs to start with nutrition. Thankfully, our rice reserve is the highest since the founding of our republic at the moment. We have more rice than ever before, and we will be exporting to Malaysia as well. But again, soft power, untapped. Whether it's culinary, fashion, music, film, games. And I'll end there rather than taking up all the time.
And we'll definitely go back to you.
You get me passionate about this.
Yes, I knew this question will do that to you, Sarah. Secretary Chan, Hong Kong went through this sort of a branding reset over the last few years, and that was perhaps a recognition the importance of a soft power. So talk to us about that. And how important is it for Hong Kong to have its soft power that is unique to Hong Kong?
Hong Kong's soft power, I would say, very strong. I mentioned earlier about the one country, two systems arrangement in Hong Kong. What does it mean by two systems? Number one, we are practicing common law. Our judiciary exercising decisions independently. We are a free port, information, data, capital, talent coming in, going out very freely. And you know, this is a place, east, west. We have a very strong expatriate population. Say, for example, the international school education in Hong Kong. We have 50 international schools covering curriculum from the US, the UK, Italy, France, German, Swiss, Korea, Japan, Singapore. So that demonstrates the diversity of this city. And we all along has been a very open, free, and diverse community. That is the fabric of our society.
Prime Minister, I'm going to give you 1 minute for your line on soft power, because I really want to get some of the questions from the audience, but I do want to get your take on soft power, because you've been taking a lot of notes.
I understand soft power to mean making good use of hard power in the first place. Soft power in Asia or for each country means making good use of our differing strengths and our superior opportunities to create value added. Our soft value, I understand it a little bit more broadly. It means to build a right direction, a right line of action for the development of a country. It also means strength in institution. That is also soft power. And that can turn into competitiveness if we can build our institutions right. The heroic history of a country is also its soft power, such as the Vietnamese nation. Every time challenges arise, every time risks arise, we stand together, we stand as one. We harness, we tap into that wellspring of national power. And fourth, that is solidarity. That is also soft power too. The leadership of a political party, that is also soft power. And that means a party chosen by the people. And sixth, soft power also means the aspiration to contribute by the young generation. That is also part of the soft power. And we should tap into the strengths of people, the businesses. That is soft power too.
And I do want to give, I'm going to turn to the audience for questions. I shouldn't be the only one asking questions. There we go, and then we'll get to you. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Hello.
I'm from Beijing Daily, and I also want to ask a question to Prime Minister Pham Minh. I have to catch this opportunity. We noticed that maybe this is the third time you come to attend Summer Davos in 3 years. Yeah. So you attend the Summer Davos every year. My question is, what's the reason attract you to attend this forum every year, and why are the relations between China and Vietnam so close in recent years? I think you also visited China in other occasions in past 3 years. Thank you.
Vâng.
Thank you for your question. First of all, I have to uphold my responsibility to the invitation sent to me by the President of the World Economic Forum and by the Premier of the People's Republic of China. And what attracts me, I'm like every other. When we come here, we get to share our ideas, we get to discuss, we get to engage in debate, we get to look at the theme of discussion. There are a lot of things that are attractive, and that alone is attractive. And we also get to learn, we also get to share, and we also get to engage in discussion in a candid and frank way, democratically too, and that is truly attractive. And every time we learn more, every time we grow bolder, every time there is more value added to each of us. That is the point of attraction. As for China and its links to Asia, I think a community itself means a close link. Within a community, of course, there are those who are strong, there are those who are not so strong, and in principle, in morality, as in life, the strong should help the weak in life and in development. So back to the core of the question, I think China is a major power in area, in population. China has forged ahead. It has completed its centenary target. It is also the second largest economy in the world. China's development, therefore, without Asia, would not be where it is today. Without trade partners, China would not be where it is today. China alone, of course, can grow. But if China is to be where it is today, it owes itself to Asian partners. And when China has developed, I think in every of us, there is an instinct to help your fellow man. When you have received help from so many people, you have grown stronger. Then it is your responsibility. You owe it to them to give back to those who have helped you to grow so strong. And that is a core, fundamental value of what it means to be a human being, what it means to be nations around the world. That is the value that we in Asia hold, that we are very discreet, yet we are very faithful and responsible. I hope that answers your question. If you are not satisfied, please give some more questions.
Before we get to you, make sure that I get this right. So you're saying China without Asia, without its trading partners that it's been working with for many, many years, it won't be where it is today. It is China's responsibility. China owes it to the trading partners in the region to lift up their growth now. So is the future of Asia sort of in the hands of China?
Tôi nghĩ là nằm trong.
I think it is in the hand of all of us, not just China. Because the world today is the world is flat, and the development of this country is dependent on another country. And what has happened recently have been global, whole of people, comprehensive. No country can address them alone, not even the US, not even China. So there has to be cooperation. And when there is cooperation, that means no one can handle things alone and no one can decide things alone. The missions of the world, we need to stand in solidarity. Only then would we be able to ensure peace, cooperation, development, and fair competition, progress, and equality among nations. And only that way would we be able to foster growth in this world. Only then would we have peace, we have happiness, and when we come together, we would have joy to see each other. We can smile to see each other's face. That is what we gain in a forum such as we have here in Tianjin.
I want to get to you next. Thanks for waiting.
Thank you. My name is Klaas Neumann. I come from SAP. This is Europe's largest software company and also, meanwhile, Europe's most valuable company. And I have also to say I love WF. I was sitting next to Sarah in the plane, I recall that, and next to Minister Handunneththi during the dinner. I have a question also to you, Honorable Prime Minister, because we have just invested in Vietnam in an R&D lab, and we are formally opening this on 5th of August. You are heartily invited with your ministers to come for the opening. But when I listen to other companies here who have invested in Southeast Asia, also in Indonesia or in Vietnam, there is quite a concern about, is there enough talent for the innovation drive? Because you spoke in your keynote about innovation being the next thing, specifically in Southeast Asia. We believe in this. We really would like to hire hundreds of smart engineers in Vietnam, maybe also in Indonesia, and we spoke about Sri Lanka too. But we have, of course, concerns whether the talent pool will grow fast enough. Will it grow as fast as it grows in India or in China? This is my question. Thank you.
Vâng, câu hỏi của ngài thì tôi nghĩ.
I think with your question, I think that you make a lot of sense to ask this question when you mentioned when we have investment, we have to pay attention to added values. One of the things that could create added values or higher added values would be a policy of a country, the institutions of a country, like I mentioned, and about your own capacity for technology, for innovation, the capacity within your own companies, your own businesses. Another factor is the humans, the human resources. People are placed at the center and the determining factor for success. So I believe that this question of yours is very relatable, very relevant, because the people is the most important factor. I hope that if the European people or the US people, the American people could do it, the Asian people could also do it. In reality, there might need to be more time, and the level for talent is maybe a little bit different, but you need to have faith that the Asian people, as well as all the other regions, are very talented. And there would always be a need for support for these people to harness their talents. We need to create the favorable conditions so that they could overcome their challenges and fully harness their talent. Whatever the European people could do, the Asian people could also do the same. Please rest assured. As for the Vietnamese people, we also have a training program. For example, the AI chips. In the coming years, we are going to train over 100,000 engineers in AI chips or other training facilities specifically tailored for your needs in terms of human resources demand. So please rest assured in our capacity. I'm not sure if I satisfied your question.
And I believe we don't really have time for more questions, but do try to grab them as they walk off the stage. I think we touched on a lot of grounds. I did kick off with this big elephant in the room, a tariff situation, and what's going on in terms of course, soft power in Asia, and we touched on the talent situation in Asia as well. But I do want to challenge once again, is Asia's century at risk? No, I don't think so, but I think it is being challenged, and it's evolving. I think that is really the consensus that we got from the panelists, who I want to thank actually for having me as part of your discussion, and thank you for your insightful commentaries, and thank you everyone in the audience as well as online for joining us, and thank you for having me to World Economic Forum as well. I hope every one of you enjoys the rest of Summer Davos 2025. Thank you very much.